Before we begin this episode, I want to give a huge shout out to all of our patrons over on patreon.com/bitterbrownfems. As little as $1 helps support this podcast stay independent. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of our BFFs, including Cristian Galindo, Evelyn Preciado, and Cassandra Tapia. Y'all are real ones. If you want to keep Bitter Brown Femmes independent, go to patreon.com/bitterbrownfems. The link is in the description. $1 just gets you exclusive posts. $5 gives you video episodes. $10 gives you bonus episodes, and so on. I'm also archiving some of our episodes. In case you didn't know, episodes like 1 through 4 are archived. So from season 1, those episodes are only available to patrons of $1 or more. There's also a free tier. So if you just want to like see what's up, get on the cheese man. There's like a Bitter Brown Friends chat that you can join in on. You can join as a free member, but for all the other archive stuff, just $1 will get you in. So go to patreon.com/bitterbrownfems. Link is in the description. And yeah, let's start the show. Hello, hello, hello. It's me, your host, Ruben, coming to you all the way from Portland, Oregon. And today's recession indicator is Sophie Cunningham, a WNBA player who recently took to her, you know, PR to basically talk shit about trans women and say that trans women are not welcome in the WNBA. Mind you, there are no women of the trans experience in the WNBA. As far as professional sports go, there aren't very many trans women, period. Like, this is a non-issue. But then you go to Sophie Cunningham's like stat sheet, and that girl ain't been shooting shit. Like she is in the, bottom tier of shooters, mid tier at best, but she's very close to aging out of the WNBA. Mind you, they just got like a recent better deal, like as far as payment goes, but apparently not enough for, someone aging out of their playing years who didn't have the best record at all and whose teammates now at every uh, press conference look like they fucking hate her guts. She needed something to fucking grift on. And like Riley Gaines before her, another fucking loser, she thought that throwing trans women under the bus was the way to make $1. And Adidas, out of all people, agreed to make a shoe with Sophie Cunningham, a women's shoe, that sold out. Uh, but the primary buyer of that fucking shoe was men, so they can't even wear it. They just like bought it because uh they wanted to support like her transphobia. And so now you like see, I assume she expected that it would be like a bunch of women like buying her shoe or whatever. And like that she would like whenever she had like meet and greets or whatever, she would be signing a bunch of like future WNBA players or something like that, like inspiring the next generation of women. But all these like meet and greet photos that you see with Sophie Cunningham now are just like a bunch of loser, like incel looking motherfuckers lining up to meet this transphobe. And so it's just like really funny that she like sold out like women for this grift that cannot last that much longer. Like Riley Gaines, that other loser who made a big stink about trans women in sports because she tied for fifth with a trans girl in like college swimming. Uh like that bitch ain't making that much money. So like Sophie Cunningham, Girl, you would have been better off just being a regular ass influencer going on fucking Love Island or some shit, making those fucking makeup deals or wet wipes, home cleaning, protein, book buying, whatever the fuck influencers are selling you nowadays. Then throwing trans women under the bus, cutting off the majority of the population who no longer agree with conservative politics, because the tide is turning despite of Trump's greater and the Republicans Party's greater efforts to make voting inaccessible to progressive people. The tide is still turning. So, bitch, we still ain't gonna buy your shit. So, good luck with those like acne-ridden piece of shit, ugly ass dudes who just gonna use you for fucking gooning material. Um, The worst part of this is not only the fact that like she's tainting the WNBA's like reputation, a reputation built on the backs of queer women, primarily black queer women who are like the backbone of the WNBA and also their fans. Like this is supposed to be like one of the most welcoming environments, right? For most people, like I went to my first fucking women's basketball game not too long ago, and I felt really motivated to continue going just because it was such a vibrant, diverse, uh energy. And now with this like stinking up the room, like it doesn't feel safe. Just like as recently as a couple weeks ago, uh Sophie Cunningham's team was in Seattle in the PNW and there was protest against her, as there should be. In Seattle, it was outside, and in Portland, it was a bunch of people waving the trans flag, uh, in the shots. Um, and in Seattle, owner, the co-owner of the Seattle team, it was like during that game, it was like Sophie Cunningham's like one of her first uh games after making transphobic comments. Uh, and someone astroturfed the game. If you don't know what astroturfs, it means basically when somebody pays a group of people or individuals to show up and pretend they're protesting against something, right? So somebody astroturfed this group of people, mainly like young girls, uh, to like hold up signs that were like, "Thank you, Sophie Cunningham, for like standing up for girls," or like, um, and basically like screaming out, allegedly like screaming out like, anti-trans remarks. And the owner of the Seattle team went up to these girls and essentially told them to shut the fuck up. And because of this, that Seattle owner was suspended from attending games in the WNBA to protect Sophie Cunningham's transphobia. Uh, so it's like affecting the entire league. Uh, this is a league that's already fighting like queer phobia, lesbophobia, misogyny, and in very many ways, like transphobia as well, right? Like we have to remember that like transphobia doesn't just affect like trans people, it affects cis people too on various levels. There's this like old joke about like, cis women barely pass as cis. Like, what do y'all want from trans people? And in very similar ways, like the womanhood of athletic women is often diminished, because of muscle and et cetera, et cetera. The things that it takes to be athletic are seen as masculine because of misogyny. And so women in sports are demeaned for it. And Sophie Cunningham is contributing to it. Um, or is making the line so much more blurrier that it's allowing these people who were already, misogynist or transphobes to like go all in on this. And it's just like it's not helping anybody. It's definitely not helping young women when the primary issue in women's sports is underfunding, it's sexual harassment, is like lack of promotion. Like those are real. If we wanted to give a fuck about women's sports, we would talk about those fucking issues, right? Like it took an entire like women's Olympics team for the gymnastics doctor to be fucking investigated. It took them dropping out in the middle of the Olympics for this to happen. Um, it took like the women's soccer team to win 5 fucking World Cups and to essentially like try to withhold their labor and really like t stick it to FIFA for them to get paid anywhere near as much as the men's soccer team. Like this is like these are the fucking real issues as far as gender inequity goes in sports. And any attention given to like quote unquote the problem of trans people in sports is just here to divide us. It's just here to distract us from the billionaire class. Because at the end of the day, even these like sport inequity issues, like it's been a long running joke about like who owns these sports teams, and it's usually rich white billionaires, usually men, who own these teams who are mostly populated by, people of color. It's like a different iteration of the slavery system, and it's been called out by athletes in the past. Um, and like those are things that should be talked about more than like non-existing like boogeyman of a trans person trying to play a fucking sport. Because if we want to be fucking real, trans people should be in sports as young as possible because like playing in sports is such it teaches so many skills like not only like athleticism, hand-eye coordination, all that shit, but like working with other people, building community, having teamwork, like those are all such important skills that we're robbing trans people of because of transphobia, and that shit needs to fucking not exist. So fuck you, Sophie Cunningham. It's a recession indicator because how broke are you with your, hundreds of thousands of dollars in salary for playing this sport that you still feel like you need to throw trans women under the bus to make a couple extra bucks? Like, girl, the electricity bill cannot be that high. I know the fucking data centers are, raking up all of our shit. I know in Portland, my shit's gonna go up by 8% by next summer, apparently. But like y'all, you make a shit ton of money. You still feel so broke that you need to fucking uh be a fucking bigot against trans people. Shit, the recession must be worse than I imagined. So that is my recession indicator, uh, as well as this goddamn Trump's lettuce situation. Girl, raise your hand if you maybe ate some bad lettuce or prepackaged salads, and you might have had explosive diarrhea. Because apparently it was a bunch of us over the last few months. Uh, a good amount of people went to the doctors. I think a couple people died, mostly, unfortunately, as always, the most vulnerable, which were mostly older people, children, disabled folks. Um, and it all is pointing to a farm called Taylor Farms, who is the provider, almost a monopoly of a provider for stores such as uh, Safeway, Walmart, Trader Joe's in some cases, Taco Bell, and a bunch of other companies. Uh, all their shit, all their fucking greens had shit in them apparently. So they were basically getting people explosive diarrhea for months. And it wasn't until shit literally blew up that there was a recall, there was a call to have people not eat prepackaged salads and lettuce and other greens, and to avoid Taco Bell. By the way, the only reason this even like made headlines is because Taco Bell was the one who responsibly took it upon themselves to identify the problem as their lettuce that was getting people sick and inform the public. You know how like in like places where Waffle House exists, I've never been there. I think it's mostly the South. Places where Waffle House exists, apparently they know if like a hurricane or a tornado is gonna be really bad if Waffle House closes because apparently their employees are built of stone. But when they like finally wimp out of covering their shifts, that's when people know that it's like it's gonna be a bad hurricane or tornado or whatever. Apparently, now we got to measure whether or not produce is safe to eat by whether or not Taco Bell puts out an announcement. Because now that I remember things, it wasn't even just the lettuce or the prepackaged salads. It was like most fresh fruit. Like we had to be wary of eating most fresh fruit that we couldn't peel, right? So like apples and shit. Um, that's crazy. And so the thing about Taylor Farms is that they actually donated to the Trump administration. They specifically donated to weekend weekend the regulations that there were about like food inspections. And it was those same weakenings of food regulations that ultimately led to this um this nationwide incident. Um, and ultimately kind of tanked the reputation. I mean, fully tanked the reputation. I don't know. If I see the fucking Taylor Farm, I'm a salad girly, especially in the summer. Girl, I love my shit crispy and cold. Well, one thing in general about me is that I like cold food. I hate warm or hot food. That's a topic for another day. But I love me some cold food and salads in the summer. They just hit. So I be buying prepackaged salads all the fucking time. But now if I see anything related to Taylor Farms, I mean, there goes my weekly grocery budget's not going to them. And I'm sure tons of people are also like avoiding that. So, in their efforts to save money and screw over their workers and the general public, they screwed themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if a company like that, like, completely plummets and has to be go through some weird backdoor capitalist deals that they usually go through in order to survive or in order to like, return to some other shell company. Um, so yeah, Taylor Farms invested in the Trump administration to deregulate the food industry, and it came back to bite them in the butt. So how broke were they that they needed to go through all that, um, not to just fucking sink their fucking company? So, fuck you, Taylor Farms. Um, and another group or another company that we're also saying fuck you to is Madison Square Garden, specifically the owner of Madison Square Garden, who has been tracking multiple people, a large. It's like Madison Square Garden is apparently like its own fucking surveillance state within America. A couple of months ago, I think we reported on it. They were like tracking trans people and like informing like their security to not let trans people do certain things. There was one instance where one trans person was like a season ticket holder. They were very and like there was reports of this person like being really nice to everybody and all the employees knowing them and like knowing their order and like everybody being really tight with them. But at one point they were labeled like as a risk to the Madison Square Garden and were like banned from entering. So there goes like season ticket price, like season ticket revenue for the Madison Square Garden just because of transphobia. I hope they sued the shit out of them. Um, but yeah, they were tracking this trans person, like how long they would take into the restroom, uh, and things like that. It turns out that it goes just beyond that regular transphobia. It is also Madison Square Garden was also tracking a bunch of other people that they considered threats. Most notably, queer people. Some as innocuous as like fucking Phoebe Bridgers was like labeled as like a threat, and I think Brandy Carlisle too. Like, girl, these queer women are just trying to fucking play the little guitars, and you're out here labeling them a national threat. Grow the fuck up. The owner of the Madison Square Garden and the one in charge of all of this bullshit is James Dolan. This is also the man that refused to shake Mamdani's hand when Mamdani was giving the Knicks the keys to the city after they won the championship for the first time in like decades. Try to ruin this like national moment. I think trying to appease his Republican friends and business partner Trump, only for him to look like an utter fool. Because right now everybody fucking loves Mamdani. Like he is like who everybody wishes is their president. Like everybody looks at Mamdani as their mayor. Like, bitch, I live in Portland and I'm from LA and I see Mamdani's my mayor. Like Mamdani's my president. Like, bitch, next time that elections come around, if the Republicans want to play some games and make Trump run a third time, for a third term, girl, we're gonna run Mamdani. Um, that's how much I love this man. That's how much this country loves this man. And so for James Dolan to refuse to shake his hand out of some petty like business political bullshit is so telling of uh how out of step the Republican Conservative Party is where are with the general public. Um So, on the topic of Mamdani, uh, he has just been doing such a good job with New York. For the most part, I know that there was like some odd cuts to um, like like budgets for accessibility that I hope he gets pushback on. Um, but I also have to like stand up for him when he gets like questioned by like CNN and and like all these news outlets about like Israel and like anti-Semitism just for the fucking uh virtue of being Muslim when like this motherfucker's trying to talk about like shit we need to like take care of New York and blah blah uh and all these other reporters are trying to like um and both liberal and conservative, right? From all ends of the spectrum, they just want to make him seem like this big like terrorist. There was like this big outcry from like a couple of families from 9/11 victims who were like, Mamdani should have not show up to like the memoriam, the 25th anniversary of this terrorist attack. And it's like, what is your reason? What is your reasoning for not wanting Mamdani at the 9/11 celebration, an anniversary? I mean, not celebration, not celebration. We're not celebrating that. Uh, Other than Islamophobia, he was like, fucking, he's 34 now. So he had to be like, he wasn't even 10. Like, what part of 9/11 do you think that Mamdani had, unless you think that all Muslims are terrorists, and that's your justification for not wanting a Muslim progressive mayor at a 9/11 commemoration? Uh, so this like Islamophobia has extended to well multiple people for time eternal, but most recently and most poignantly in the Michigan State Senate race where Abdul El Sayed recently uh defeated uh Haley Stevens for um the Senate race. And during this entire race between the two, Haley Stevens was painting Abdullah Sayed as this like Jewish hating Muslim person with no grounds on it other than like he went on the campaign trail with Hassan Piker, who has said that, is, anti-Israel. And Abdul El Sayed has also said he's like not focusing on giving money to Israel. And that has made made Hallie Stevens not only make these like anti-Muslim attacks on him, racist attacks if we're being real, but also take as much as $35 million directly from APAC. And if you don't know what APAC is, it is like um the the PAC group, so like the political activist group that an activist, of course, is not, I'm not using it in the term of like social justice, but like they're activated to raise money for politicians and causes that help Israel. And so she took $35 million from them in commercials and in other types of advertisements that painted Abdul El Sayed as um, anti-Jewish. And she still lost. Like her total campaign spending from these PAC groups was upwards of $70 million. And yes, Abdullah Sayed, won by the hair of his chinny chin chin, but that was still a showing, uh, that APAC is not liked by the people. There was Michigan voters that were like just picked off the street that were like, "Who are you voting for?" And they were like, "Abdul El Sayed," because we should stop sending money to Israel. We should be spending that money here. And it was multiple people who were saying shit like that in Michigan proper. Um, Unfortunately, that luck did not uh spread to um a lot of other places like where Cori Bush was running um against uh Wesley Bell for uh a seat in Missouri. Cori Bush was previously already in the Senate, but was keeps being outspent by AIPAC for her pro-Palestine stances. She was initially part of the squad, right, which include Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, AOC. Um, and she's been the only one that, APAC and other Republican interest groups have been able to keep from coming back into Congress. Um, that said, out of all the DSA endorsements, there was a lot of big wins in this last primary against either incumbent centrist Democrats or, other folks where the seat, looks like it'll be for the taking. So the momentum cannot die right now. We still have to look at the midterm elections in November to secure that all these wins remain wins. I think that it is looking like America wants some real change, and centrist movements are no longer appetizing to folks. We are no longer settling for electability, right? Because that's what Francesco Hong said. Electability just means whoever gets the most votes. And I think right now people are so hungry for change that they can, that nothing in the center, even, I think even centrist like Republicans are having a hard time. And centrist Republicans are basically just like just liberals at this point. Um, People are looking for something dramatic, and I think that democratic socialist movement is really speaking to people. So I'm excited for what this could mean um, if all of these DSA backed uh, candidates make it through. Then this would be like the biggest representation that socialists have had in probably time eternal. So yeah, excited for that. And yeah, that brings me to uh things that have made me less bitter uh recently. And that would be Carly Rae Jepsen. I'm sorry. I know we talked about her last episode. Um because we had Caleb Luna here, and if you haven't listened to that episode, go listen to it. It is very good. And we called out some shit, that has come to light, with Ariana Grande. And that was a very enlightening conversation as Caleb Luna's is such a brilliant scholar and activist and overall just great person. So go listen to that episode. But Carly Rae Jepsen just released a new single, and Don't Leave Me on the Dance Floor. Fantastic. So far, the last three singles have been incredible. I can't believe that we get 19 more songs. And so this has been the best year in pop music since 2024. And before that, I don't think we had another, I don't think we had a comparable year in pop music since like 2016. So big ups to all the pop girls. The boys are not doing shit. Um, I think Troye Sivan's supposed to come up with something, but she's kind of missing in action as of right now. But yeah, it's all the girls doing the heavy lifting. The new Charlie XCX album has been pretty good. Um, Jessie Ware's album, fantastic. Uh, yeah, big ups to the pop girls. Thank you for making the world a little less bitter. And that's it for me. Thank you for joining me, y'all. Uh, Take care of yourselves, and the next episode might come sooner than you imagine it. Bye. Before we leave, I need to give a huge shout out to all of our I Know Her level patrons over on patreon.com/bitterbrownfams. That includes Fernando Peña, Selena Portera, Miranda E, Magdalena Saucedo, Ronnie Leiva, and Bianca Garcia. If you too want to be somebody that I know, go to patreon.com/bitterbrownfams. The link is in this description. Take care. Bye.